This is episode number 51 of the Fine Dining Podcast. Welcome to Phoenix.
This is the Fine Dining Podcast. The Fine Dining Podcast. For foodies who love travel and travelers who love food. Here's your host, Seth Ressler.
Hello and welcome to the Fine Dining Podcast. I'm your host. My name is Seth Ressler, and this is the podcast for foodies who love travel and travelers who love food. Here's how it works. If you've never listened to the podcast before, each week we go to a different city and we talk to somebody who really knows the local culinary scene. Sometimes it's a food event organizer, sometimes it's a food blogger, sometimes it's a chef. This week we are actually going to the city of Phoenix, and we are talking to Tyler Walters, who is one of the co-founders of the blog whydideateathis.com. Tyler, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Oh, no problem. I'm excited because we haven't actually dug into wings, and that's your specialty there with this blog, correct?
Absolutely, yeah. That's when we first founded it, that was all we covered. We've expanded a little bit since then, but that is what we started with.
All right, nice. And you are sort of a glutton for punishment. You like the hot stuff.
Yeah, I'm kind of a chili head. My buddy Javi, who I started the blog with, he is not as much. But he'll try all of the suicide wings or whatever they have with me. So we're not afraid of any of them.
All right, so we're going to dig into that with you. We're going to talk about the culinary scene in Phoenix. We're going to get a great restaurant recommendation from you. And then we're going to play a game called Out of the Frying Pan. But before we get to all that, I know you've got a trivia question for me. So hit me. What do you got?
All right. What food that originated in Phoenix made a large but ultimately unsuccessful push to be the official state food of Arizona in 2011?
So that's recent, 2011. That's just 2 years ago. So they were trying to get this through the legislature, the state legislature, to try and make this the official state food of Phoenix.
They were, yeah.
Is this a food that I would think of as sort of a quintessential American food? Or is it a food that has maybe an ethnic influence?
It is, yeah, it's more of an ethnic influence. It's created here, but you're only going to find it in a certain type of restaurant. All
right, I lean towards thinking that there's some sort of Latino influence there, because I know that you've got a large Latino population there. I'm going to think about it for a little bit. We're going to come back to that, because I don't know right off the top of my head. While I think about that, let's talk about Phoenix. Now, are you a Phoenix native?
I am, yeah. Both Javi and I were born and raised here.
So tell me what the city of Phoenix is like. I mean, this is a city that's got, it's just big, right? It's just wide.
It is. It's a huge sprawl. They just keep expanding it. They're trying to fill in some of the spots in the interior of Phoenix now. There's a lot of groups pushing for that. Local First Arizona specifically is doing a lot of that. But it is just a gigantic city land-wise.
Now, I'm in a city like that as well. I'm in San Jose. It's about an hour south of San Francisco. And what I find is that it feels almost like just this huge suburb. There's a lot of strip malls, and there's a lot of things like that, but there isn't necessarily a downtown culture. Does Phoenix have a strong sort of downtown arts and culture?
They didn't always, but it's really starting to come around now. They have the first Friday every month. That's just a huge art festival they have, and it takes up a large part of downtown. I've actually heard that it's the biggest in the country event like that, and there's a lot of restaurants opening up and places to get beer and everything else, and everything's kind of picking up now. But for a long time, downtown Phoenix was just kind of a dead spot, and there wasn't really much there because of the sprawl. But
you're starting to see a renovation.
Absolutely.
And a restaurant's part of that?
Yeah, they're starting to see a lot of really good restaurants down in downtown Phoenix now.
And again, this reminds me a lot of where I'm living now in San Jose, where you have a lot of chain restaurants, and then we don't actually have a lot of really high-end restaurants, but we've got a lot of great ethnic hole-in-the-walls. Is that true of Phoenix too, or is there also a lot of high-end dining?
There are some really good high-end dining places, but I would definitely say that it's more of the hole-in-the-wall one-off places that you'll see, a lot of the ethnic places.
So what does the ethnic makeup of Phoenix look like? Who are the populations that you've got there, and how does that influence the cuisine?
We have people from everywhere in Phoenix. People move here from all over just because of the mild winters and the somewhat cheap real estate and all of that. But, the thing we're probably most well known for is the Mexican food, primarily Sonoran-style Mexican food.
Now, what is Sonoran-style Mexican food?
Well, Sonora is it's the northernmost state in Mexico. There's a lot of cattle and wheat that is, you find that a lot in Sonora. So you see a lot of beef, and you see flour tortillas more often than you see corn tortillas. I mean, some of the foods you'll see a lot are carne asada, refried pinto beans, tacos, menudo, albondiga soup, burritos, enchiladas, those kind of things. It tends to not be as spicy as like a New Mexico style, but it's still, they usually serve it with salsa and hot sauce.
Nice. And what other foods is Phoenix known for?
I mean, really, it's just kind of such a mixture. I mean, it's starting to get a reputation somewhat for pizza, mostly due to Chris Bianco and the reputation he started here. But a lot of good pizza places are starting to pop up. But, I mean, there's not really a single type of food outside of Mexican food that we're known for. We just kind of have a mix of everything.
Talk to me a little bit about Chris Bianco. Who is he, and why would people know him?
He is a James Beard Award winner. He opened up Pizzeria Bianco and Pain Bianco in downtown Phoenix. Pizzeria Bianco has been called the best pizza in the country more than once. A lot of people in New York especially are contesting that. But
but though it's nice to see that, not everything is in New York. It's nice to see that there's some things going on in other cities. Have you been there? Have you actually tried the pizza?
I have had some of the pizza, but it was to go, and I mean it was excellent, but I haven't had the full experience yet.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about wings, because that's why you started your blog. First of all, tell me about the concept behind Why Did I Eat This?
Basically, we just go from every place we can find that we hear has a good reputation for wings. We'll go check it out, from the nicest restaurant in Scottsdale to the biggest dive bars we can find.
And what do you look for in wings? I mean, what to you is the ideal wing?
Well, there's really three main things that you look for in a wing. I mean, we're looking for a big wing with a lot of meat on the bone. We're looking for a good sauce. And the most important thing really is how well cooked the wing is. I mean, if the wing's not cooked long enough and cooked well enough, it doesn't really matter how big it is or what the sauce is like. You can't come back from that. And
then hot stuff you go for as well, right? You're into that.
Yeah, absolutely. I pretty much the hotter the better for me. I love the spiciest food I can find. So when we go out for wings, we usually will get, if they have it on the menu, we'll get a dozen hot and a dozen of their suicide or whatever they want to call it wings.
Who's got the hottest wings that you've had in all of Phoenix?
There's quite a few places up there. Probably The Reef. Used to be called Draft House. They have some wings called Donkey Wings, and those are extremely hot. Teakwoods is another one. They make some really spicy suicide wings. Both those places actually do it really well, though. A lot of places, you'll get the suicide wings and they'll be spicy, but they'll sacrifice flavor because they're just trying to make it hot. But both of those places actually make really tasty wings as well.
And that's really important. I mean, I think a lot of people think that it is just about the heat, but there is something to be said for people who can do both heat with a lot of flavor. Yeah, it seems to be something that must be somewhat tricky, because a lot of people do struggle with that. But I mean, when you can have both in the same dish, that's my favorite. That's what I'm really looking for. All right, so I'm a foodie. I'm coming into Phoenix. Talk to me a little bit about the neighborhoods besides downtown. Where else should I check out? I mean, really, downtown's got the best places, but I mean, other places you might want to check out are Old Town Scottsdale. I mean, there's a lot of high-end places there. They actually just started this food truck caravan there, where a bunch of food trucks get together once a week, every Saturday, I think. We just went to the first one of those, and it was a really fun event. Are you seeing a lot of food trucks there in Phoenix? Yeah, they're starting to show up everywhere. That's a huge new thing here in Phoenix. Any that you've tried that you particularly like? Lucha Libre is probably my favorite. That's the one I just tried at the food truck caravan. And they basically have a rotating menu based on whatever ingredients are in season and on hand. But you'll see a lot of quesadillas, tortas, tacos. I tried the all tied up quesadilla, which is it's got citrus marinated chicken, serrano chilies, onions, jack cheese, and a sweet Thai chili sauce. Oh, that sounds good. It was very good. I'm in. What about chefs? Any other chefs that we should be keeping our eye on from Phoenix? Yeah, I mean, besides Chris Bianco, you got Nobuo Fukuda. He's another James Beard Award winner. He's the chef behind Nobuo at Teeter House, which is a Japanese restaurant in downtown. Then you have Silvana Salcido Esparza. She owns Barrio Cafe and Barrio Queen, and she was also actually twice nominated for the James Beard Award. And Barrio Queen was just named one of the best new restaurants in America for 2012 by Esquire. All right, cool. So you got some action going on there in that city. Absolutely. So I want to get into your restaurant recommendation. We're going to do that in just a second. I also want to find out what almost became the state food there in Arizona? And I'm not sure yet. So we're going to come back in just a second. We're going to talk about that. All right, before we get back into chicken wings, I got to tell you about the Taste Trekkers Food Tourism Conference, now less than 2 months away. It's happening September 20th, 21st, 22nd in Providence, Rhode Island. This is the first event for people who plan their vacations around food, and it's going to be awesome. I mean, it's going to be fantastic. Go to the website, tastetrekkers.com, and look at all the different sessions that we've got going on. We've got a session on the chocolates of Madagascar, the history of rum in New England, food trucks from across the United States, lots of exciting things happening in culinary tourism up in Ontario, and so we've got speakers from there coming in, just everywhere. It's going to be awesome, and this is the first one. We will do more, but make sure you check it out. And if you're in the Northeast, if you're in New England, September 20th, 21st, and 22nd in Providence, Rhode Island, be there. The Taste Trekkers Food Tourism Conference. tastetrekkers.com. We are talking to Tyler Walters of the Why Did I Eat This blog in Phoenix, Arizona. And we're going to get into a restaurant recommendation. You've got a great restaurant recommendation for us. But before we talk about that, you had a trivia question for me. What was it one more time?
So, what food that originated in Phoenix made a large but ultimately unsuccessful push to be the official state food of Arizona in 2011?
So 2 years ago, there was a food. They tried to make it the official state. Does that mean you don't have an official state food, or was this an attempt to change the official state?
We do not have one.
Don't have, and you said that there was some ethnic influence to it. See, I gotta think it's something along the lines of taco or quesadilla or burrito or... Am I close? Am I warm?
You are very close with one of those, actually, but you didn't hit it exactly.
Didn't hit it exactly. Taco, quesadilla, burrito, nachos. That seems like more of an appetizer. I'm gonna go with nachos.
Actually, the answer is a chimichanga.
Chimichanga.
Take a burrito and deep fry it, and that's what it is.
And that didn't make it through, huh?
It didn't, yeah. They were trying to do it in 2011 in time for the centennial, and it just didn't happen. A lot of the Mexican food places got together and made a website and made a big push, but it just didn't happen. Okay,
so it really was the restaurants who were in support of it. Does the chimichanga have unique roots in Phoenix or in Arizona?
Well, yeah, it was from Macayo's, where it was originally. That's kind of disputed, actually. There's a place in Tucson that also claims to have made it around the same time, but back in the late 40s, early 50s is when it came about, and the story is that at Macayo's they accidentally dumped a burrito into a deep fryer and came up with the chimichanga.
That's very interesting. I had no idea. Well, I'm sorry. Maybe there'll be another push for it. If there is, let us know, and we'll back the effort to make the chimichanga the official state food. But there is no official state food. That's interesting.
Not right now, yeah.
All right. Let's get into your restaurant recommendation. I asked you to pick a place that you think we should go if we're foodies and we're coming to Phoenix for the first time. Tell me what you chose.
It's Angel's Trumpet Ale House.
It's an ale house, so this is a place that's all about beer.
It is, yeah. I mean, they wanted to create a place downtown that just focused primarily on craft beer, and they came up with a menu to match that as well.
Okay, so this is the downtown location, so this is actually one of the restaurants that's part of the sort of revitalization of downtown Phoenix.
Yeah, definitely.
So who are the people behind this place?
The Englehorns, actually, are the ones who created it. This is just something they've always wanted to do. They've loved craft beer, and they wanted to create a place that specialized in that.
And I saw a little trivia question on your blog about their last name. Their last name actually means, Angel's Trumpet, right?
Angel Trumpet, yeah, it is. That is the literal translation of it.
So. Very cool. All right, so when I walk into Angel's Trumpet, tell me about the vibe. I mean, what is the place like?
I mean, it's kind of a low-key place. It's a cement blocks building. There is a big mural on one side opposite the entrance.
So I walk in, I assume that there's a huge bar somewhere.
Yeah, directly across from the entrance, there's a big bar where you can sit down and have a beer. There's a dining area and a big patio area as well where you can sit outside and enjoy the nice weather. Usually not in the summer, but...
Because it's too hot.
It is, yeah.
But in the winter, can you actually eat outside in Phoenix?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, how cold does it get in the winter?
I mean, it can get down to the 60s, but I mean, you'll have warmer days. And
you act like that's cold.
Yeah, I mean, to us, that's cold.
We might have to wear pants, it's awful. So we're in the ale house. How many taps have we got here?
More than 30 at a time, and it's always different. Every time you go, it's something different. They have a totally rotating list, so as soon as a keg runs out, It's all up on a chalkboard, so they'll wipe it off the chalkboard, hook up a new keg, and write the new one on there.
Okay, so even within the same night, you may not be able to go back and get the same beer that you already had.
Right, exactly. Well, the last time I was there, I saw them change out 4 or 5 different beers on the list.
I love places like this because I'm the kind of guy who, when I walk into a bar or a restaurant like this, I always like to order the beer that I've never had or never heard of before. And so something experimental like this just is a lot of fun for me.
Yeah, so I totally agree.
So are you a big sampler guy? Is that what you recommend?
Yeah, I mean, usually when I go there, you can get a sample tray. You get 6 beers, and you can just put whatever numbers you want on there. It's $9, no matter what beers you get. And you get a little sample size of the beers, and it's just a way to try a lot of different beers.
And I know they're always rotating, so that these might not be there if people go, but tell me what some of your favorites that you would encourage people to check out are.
I mean, there's always a few local ones. There was some from That Brewery last time I was there. You'll see some from Four Peaks usually, and Four Peaks always has good beer. I've seen some from Lost Abbey, which is one of my favorite breweries.
And these are all local? These are all in Arizona, these breweries?
Lost Abbey is not. That one's actually in California, I believe.
All right, so we sit down. We've got our sampler set up, so we're good for drinks. Where do we start in terms of appetizers? What do you recommend?
Well, I have to recommend the wings.
Of course.
That's what we do. So they call me the Angel's Wings. They're a very good sized large wing. They're cooked perfectly, and they serve them with by default they serve them with a honey and moose drool dark ale dipping sauce.
Moose drool?
Moose drool. That's it's a type of beer.
Good to know. That sounds really interesting. What is that like?
It's more of a sweet sauce. They do have a hot sauce available as well. I pretty much always prefer the hot sauce. But you can tell that they're just made there. They're not anything they bought and poured out for you. It's something that they made at Angel's Trumpet. And a lot of care went into them and good quality ingredients. And they both sauces are just excellent.
All right. So the wings, try both sauces.
They serve the wings dry, and you just dip the wings.
Mm-hmm.
But I always recommend that you ask them to toss the wings in the sauce. It's messier, but it's so much better that way.
So definitely the wings. Any other appetizers you recommend?
That's definitely the favorite. You can get something called the mess, which is fries covered in gravy and cheese curds, which is also very good.
Talk to me a little bit about main courses. What do you recommend here?
My favorite for the main course is the Churchill grilled cheese. It's a grilled cheese sandwich made with smoked mozzarella and fontina cheese, seasonal green pesto, peppered bacon jam, and drizzled with honey.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it is. It's so good.
So this is really the kind of place that does, bar food or sort of staples, but does it really well and does some interesting things with it, it sounds like.
Right, exactly. Yeah, they just they pick out bar food, things you'll see in a normal bar, but they'll take their interesting take on it.
All right, so we're definitely in on the grilled cheese. And what else do you recommend in terms of main courses there?
Any of the pizzas is very good. I got a pizza with a bunch of different types of meat and leeks on it. That was excellent.
Then what about dessert?
You gotta go with the Pop-Tart. It's a house-made pastry with a seasonal fruit filling and topped with a vanilla glaze. You'll get a different type each time. We had a peach filling last time. I've heard the strawberry is very good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That just sounds so good. I love the idea of a house-made Pop-Tart for dessert. That's fantastic. I gotta tell you, wings, grilled cheese, Pop-Tart, and beer never sounded so good.
Yeah.
I'm actually really excited about this. And, we can sit inside if it's, frigid 60 degrees out, or we can hit the patio. So, thank you for the fantastic recommendation. I tell you what, are you ready to play a little game?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, here we go. This game is called Out of the Frying Pan. Here's how it works. I'm going to ask you for a series of rapid-fire recommendations. Just tell me the first thing that pops into your head, all right? You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, we talked a lot about beer, but let's talk about cocktails for a moment. Where's the best place to get an original cocktail in Phoenix?
There's a place called Blue Hound Kitchen and Cocktails downtown. They have all kinds of craft cocktails with just local inspired ingredients, and that's probably the best place to get a cocktail.
All right, you strike me as a guy who likes barbecue. Am I right?
I do.
All right, so what's the best barbecue joint there in Phoenix?
My favorite is Joe's Barbecue. It's in downtown Gilbert. They make their own root beer, which I love, and all of the barbecue food is excellent. I love the pulled pork. That's probably my favorite. And they have a lemon cake for dessert that's awesome as well.
Do you have a favorite place to get a burger or a favorite burger in town there in Phoenix?
I do. The Chuck Box. It's in Tempe, just outside of ASU. And they'll just grill it up fresh, and they got all kinds of fresh ingredients you can top it with. It's just this little, very down-to-earth place. Looks pretty rustic, actually. But it's a very cool place.
Do you have a favorite foodie event?
Foodie event, probably the Arizona Taco Festival. Happens once a year in Scottsdale, and they'll get restaurants from all over Phoenix and from outside of the state as well. They come out and show off the best taco they can make and try and win $10,000 for the best one.
That's not bad. That's not bad at all. All right, we talked about the chimichanga and its thwarted attempt to become the state food. Where is the best place to get a chimichanga in Phoenix?
If you're going to get a chimichanga, I got to send you to Macayos. I mean, that's the place where it originated. They've been serving it since the 1950s, so can't go wrong there.
What's the best place for late night food?
Probably my favorite place. It's not gourmet food by any stretch, but it's called Amato's, and it's in Tempe. They're open 24 hours. You can go at any time at night, and they'll serve you up some Mexican food. I'll go and get the carne asada quesadilla.
Last question. Make a prediction about the Phoenix food scene. Where do you see it in 10 years?
In 10 years, I just expect to see more and more independent restaurants. The way it's going, there's all kinds of, we're just attracting more and more high-profile chefs and excellent restaurants, and people aren't really looking to go to chains anymore. They want to get the local experience and experience the food culture here.
Tyler Walters, I got to tell you something. You swear a lot less in person than you do on the blog, you know?
I tried to hold back.
I understand. I appreciate it. It's a family show. Okay, your restaurant recommendation was Angel's Trumpet Ale House. It is located at 810 North 2nd Street in downtown Phoenix. You can also find it online at angelstrumpetalehouse.com. What about you, Tyler? If people want to check out the blog or want to follow you and your partner on social media, how can they find you guys?
You can go to our website, whydideateathis.com, or you can find us on Twitter, which is also whydideateathis.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. You were the first person to come on and tell us all about wings.
Well, thanks for having me.
My name is Seth Ressler. This is the Fine Dining Podcast. Couple of show notes before we go. First of all, if you want to find links to any of the things that we talked about on the show, you can find them on the website, mysterymeat, meet.org/podcast. You can also, while you're there, subscribe to the podcast in iTunes or Stitcher Radio or TuneIn. You can also follow us on Twitter or Facebook. You can also leave a review, actually. If you want to leave a review about the podcast on iTunes, that helps us out quite a bit. Also, we've got the Taste Trekkers Food Tourism Conference coming up. That is coming up in September 20th, 21st, and 22nd in Providence, Rhode Island. It's an event for anybody who plans their vacations around food. And finally, if you want to come on the show, you want to come on the podcast, tell us all about the dining scene in your city, we would love to have you. Just click the Contact Us link on the website, send us an email, and we'll have you on the show. Thank you so much for listening.
This is the Fine Dining Podcast. You can find links to the places mentioned in this episode at tastetrekkers.com. Tastetrekkers.com. Thank you for listening.